Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. This is the first video on why people commit fraud. In this video, we will discuss why people commit fraud. We will talk about fraud perpetrators. We will introduce the concept of fraud triangle. We will explain the elements of pressure. And finally, we will also discuss how pressure contributes to fraud. Please like, subscribe and share my channel to search for accounting lessons and hit the notification bell button to alert you for the latest video. For all of your questions, comments and suggestions, please put them in the comment section below. And for webinar and guest speaker invites, please send me a message at accountingamir@gmail.com. Accounting is AK. We hope that this video helps students in their academic development and teachers in enhancing their lesson plans and teaching methodologies. So let us talk about fraud perpetrators. Now, perpetrators share similarities with honest individuals and are challenging to distinguish based on demographic or psychological traits. A study compared fraud perpetrators with incarcerated property offenders and non criminal college students to understand their characteristics. It was observed that the fraud perpetrators differed significantly from other incarcerated prisoners. They had low chance of being caught or arrested or receiving long sentences. Female representation among fraud perpetrators was higher. They were better educated, more religious, and less likely to have criminal records or alcohol abuse or drug use. Psychological indicators showed higher optimism, self esteem, and family harmony. Social traits like conformity, self control, kindness, and empathy were more pronounced in fraud perpetrators compared to property offenders. Fraud perpetrators showed slight difference from college students, including higher dishonesty and independence. They shared more similarities with college students than property offenders. It is crucial for organizations to understand for fraud perpetrator traits in hiring and engaging with stakeholders. Most individuals within organizations may have traits resembling fraud perpetrators, making it hard to predict dishonest behavior. Denial is common among victims when trusted individuals are involved in fraud. Organizations must implement robust measures to prevent and detect fraud, considering the unpredictability of fraudulent behavior. Organizations should stay vigilant and proactive in addressing fraud risks due to the complexities and similarities between fraud perpetrators and honest individuals. Let us talk about the fraud triangle. The fraud triangle is essential for detecting, preventing, and addressing fraudulent behavior within organizations. Fraud involves three primary elements known as the fraud triangle: perceived pressure, perceived opportunity, and rationalization. These elements are common to all instances of fraud, whether benefiting the perpetrator directly or the organization. Dennis Greer case exemplifies the fraud triangle. He faced financial pressure, leading him to commit fraud rather than facing homelessness. Dennis found an opportunity to commit fraud by writing bad checks and depositing them. He rationalized his actions by believing they weren't illegal and that he could repay the money. Similar to the fire triangle, where oxygen, fuel, and heat create fire, the elements in the fraud triangle also interact. The more intense the pressure or opportunity, the less rationalization it takes to motivate fraud and vice versa. Fraud prevention efforts often focus on eliminating the opportunity for fraud through internal controls. However, addressing the pressures motivating fraud and the rationalizations of perpetrators is equally crucial but often overlooked. Studies indicate decreasing levels of honesty in advanced countries, which can exacerbate fraud risk. Decreased honesty makes it easier for individuals to rationalize fraud, requiring less perceived opportunity and pressure for fraud to occur. We will talk more about this in the next video about the pressures motivating individuals to commit fraud, rationalizations, and related honesty levels. Fraud can occur for personal gains or to benefit an organization. Employee fraud involves individuals embezzling from their employers for personal benefit, while management fraud is perpetrated by an organization's officers to deceive investors and creditors for the organization's benefit. Pressures drive individuals to commit fraud, categorizing them into financial, vices, work related, and other pressures. Understanding these factors is crucial for organizations to effectively detect and prevent fraudulent activities. Fraud experts categorize pressures that drive individuals to commit fraud into four main groups. Financial pressures. These include personal financial difficulties or the desire for wealth. Vices. This category encompasses addictions or personal vices that lead individuals to commit fraud. Work related pressures, that is, pressures related to job performance, such as meeting targets or avoiding job loss, can motivate fraud. Various other factors, such as family issues or personal crisis, may also drive individuals to engage in fraudulent activities. Understanding these pressure factors is crucial for detecting and preventing fraud within the organizations. Financial pressures are significant contributors to fraudulent behavior. They can arise from various circumstances, driving individuals to commit fraud. Uh, Common pressures can range from living beyond one's means to high personal debts or unexpected financial needs. Perpetrators may feel compelled to maintain a certain lifestyle or meet financial obligations, leading them to embezzle funds or manipulate financial statements. For instance, in the case of Dennis Greer, he faced several financial strain living in his car without basic necessities resorted to fraudulent activities. Similarly, Susan Jones, despite her long tenure, more than 30 years at her company, succumbed to financial pressures after becoming a grandmother and developing spending habits, ultimately stealing over 650,000 from her employer. Financial pressures can arise suddenly or persist long term, affecting individuals across different age groups and experience levels. 30% of fraud occurs within the first 3 years of employment, while 70% are committed by employees with 4 to 35 years of experience. Management fraud often stems from pressures such as poor cash positions, uncollectible receivables, or declining markets, prompting companies to overstate asset or income. One example is Regina Vacuum, where defective products led to a high volume of returns, putting pressure on management to misrepresent sales figures. Despite the legal and financial consequences of fraud, perpetrators often fail to disclose their financial struggles, exacerbating the problem. Overall, understanding and addressing financial pressures are crucial in preventing and detecting fraud within organizations. Wise pressures, closely linked to financial pressures, drive individuals towards fraud due to vices like gambling, drugs, alcohol, and expensive extramarital relationships. For instance, in one of the cases, an individual confessed how gambling led to fraudulent acts, starting with losing his children's college funds and resorting to embezzlement to cover his losses. The person lost their children's college fund, gambling, and needing 500 to try to win it back. They set up a fake company at work to issue invoices under $500, exploiting lax internal controls. They kept gambling, lost more money, and expanded the fraud to over 75,000. They were caught when internal auditors noticed all dummy vendors shared the same PO box. Then, vice exert addictive and destructive influences, leading individuals to extreme measures to sustain their habits. Confessions from gamblers and drug users have confessed to stealing from family members, sneaking out of hospitals to gamble, and even drugging their own children to conceal addiction signs. The allure of vice drives individuals to commit fraud or theft, often surpassing moral boundaries and causing profound harm to themselves and others. The motivation of embezzlement or fraud, rooted in vices like drugs or gambling, can be especially intense, leading individuals to prioritize their addiction over ethical considerations. Understanding the power of vices in motivating fraudulent behavior is crucial for recognizing and addressing the underlying causes of fraud within organizations. Uh, Fraud isn't solely driven by financial difficulties or vices. Some resort to fraud due to workplace pressures. Factors like job dissatisfaction, fear of job loss, and feeling undervalued can motivate fraudulent behavior. The, the individual in one of the cases started as a staff accountant at XYZ company and volunteered for for a year at a not for a year at a non for profit agency. They worked diligently for 6 years, often putting in 12 to 14 hours days without overtime compensation. Despite being trusted and respected, they became disillusioned with the company's expectations of long hours. Feeling undervalued and owed compensation, they accepted kickbacks from a vendor, allowing over 1.5 million in overcharges. They rationalized the 80,000 received in kickbacks as deserved compensation for their efforts. This case highlights how feelings of bitterness and entitlement can lead to fraudulent behavior in the workplace. Thus, workplace pressures such as feeling undervalued and overworked can drive individuals to resort to fraudulent activities. It is essential for organizations to address employee concerns and provide fair compensation and recognition to prevent such behavior. This scenario highlights how workplace pressures and perceived injustices can lead to unethical behavior, causing significant harm to the company and its stakeholders. There may be other pressures for fraud, like uh, fraud can be motivated by various pressures that include pressures from a spouse to embezzle for an improved lifestyle. For example, one of the perpetrator embezzled over $450,000 so her husband could drive a new car, or a better lifestyle and a computer consultant attempted the perfect crime by assessing computer records to purchase inventory. Many people face financial pressures, make speculative investments, have addictive vices, feel overworked or underpaid, or simply want more wealth. In a capitalist society, success is often equated with wealth, and some prioritize success over honesty. Psychologists suggest that most people have a price at which they would be dishonest, and individuals with high integrity and low opportunity require high pressures to be dishonest. Circumstances may lead individuals to consider committing fraud, such as extreme hunger combined with easy access to unaccounted cash. Even historically, honest figures like Abraham Lincoln acknowledged the potential susceptibility to bribery, emphasizing the significance of addressing pressures in the fraud triangle to prevent fraud. So, this completes the first video on why people commit fraud. I hope you have enjoyed this presentation, and if you found value in this video, then please like, subscribe and share my channel and hit the notification bell button to alert you for the latest video. For webinar and guest speaker invites, please send me a message at accountingamir@gmail.com. Remember, effective questioning brings insight, which fuels curiosity, which cultivates wisdom. If you have any question or any suggestion regarding this session, then please put them in the comment box below or by email, and inshallah I will reply you back. Thank you so much and happy learning.